When the zookeeper fell 15 feet into the gorilla enclosure and couldn't move, the 400-pound silverback approached her. What he did in those terrifying moments left everyone watching frozen in disbelief. Before you watch, remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss another touching story like this one, and write in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there. Rachel Morrison checked her watch as she stepped onto the observation deck above the gorilla habitat. 7:15 a.m. The zoo wouldn't open for another 45 minutes, giving her time to clean the glass panels before the Saturday crowds arrived. Below her, she could see Mosi moving through the early morning mist. 28 years old, 400 pounds of pure muscle, the silverback had been at Riverside Zoo for 6 years. Rachel had been his primary keeper for all of them. She smiled, watching him. Most people saw danger when they looked at Mosi. They saw his massive chest, his powerful arms, the way other gorillas kept their distance. But Rachel saw something different. She saw intelligence, gentleness when he chose to show it, and a bond that had taken years to build. "Morning, big guy," she called down, though she knew he couldn't hear her through the thick glass. Mosi glanced up briefly, then returned to examining something in the grass. Probably the enrichment toys the overnight staff had hidden for him. Rachel moved along the deck, spraying cleaning solution on the glass panels. This was her favorite part of the morning. Quiet, peaceful, just her and the gorillas before the chaos of visitors began. She stepped up onto the lower rail to reach the top corner of a particularly dirty panel. The metal felt solid beneath her boots. Then it wasn't. The sound came first. A sharp crack of corroding metal giving way. Rachel's stomach dropped as the railing beneath her feet suddenly twisted. She grabbed for the upper rail, fingers scraping metal, but her momentum was already carrying her forward. The world tilted sickeningly. Then she was falling. 15 feet of empty air rushed past. Rachel's scream caught in her throat as the ground came up fast. Too fast. She hit hard. The impact drove the air from her lungs. Pain exploded through her left ankle, white-hot and blinding. Her head cracked against the ground and everything blurred. For a moment, she couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't process what had just happened. Then reality crashed back in. She was inside the enclosure. Rachel's vision swam as she tried to sit up. Her left leg wouldn't respond. When she looked down, her ankle was bent at an angle that made her stomach turn. Broken. Definitely broken. Her radio. Where was her radio? She spotted it 3 feet away. The casing shattered, pieces scattered across the dirt. No radio, no way to call for help. A shadow fell across her. Rachel looked up and her blood went cold. Mosi stood 10 feet away, staring at her. All 400 pounds of him, utterly still, utterly silent. Behind him, the 2 females, Asha and Zuri, had stopped what they were doing. They were watching too. Rachel's training kicked in through the panic. Don't move, don't scream, don't make eye contact. But it was too late for that. Mosi's dark eyes were locked on hers. She heard shouting from above. Visitors on the upper walkway, early arrivals who'd been watching the gorillas. Their voices grew louder, more frantic. Someone fell. Call security. Oh my God, the gorilla's right there. The commotion seemed to agitate the females. Asha took a step forward, curious. Mosi's head swiveled toward her. He made a low sound, deep in his chest. Not quite a growl, but a warning. Asha stopped. Rachel's heart hammered against her ribs. She couldn't feel her left foot anymore. Her vision kept blurring at the edges. Shock, probably. She was going into shock. Move, she thought desperately. Get to the keeper door. It's only 30 feet. She tried to shift her weight and agony lanced through her ankle. A small sound escaped her lips before she could stop it. Mosi's attention snapped back to her immediately. He took a step closer. Rachel forced herself to breathe. Slow, steady breaths. Show no fear, show no weakness. But her body was betraying her. Her hands were shaking. Blood trickled down the side of her face from where she'd hit her head. Mosi took another step, then another. Rachel could hear more shouting now. Security radios crackling. Someone yelling orders. But it all seemed distant, muffled, like she was underwater. Mosi was only 5 feet away now. Close enough that she could see the silver hairs on his back catch the morning light. Close enough to smell the musky scent of him. Close enough to reach her in one lunge. Rachel closed her eyes. This was it. This was how it ended. Killed by the gorilla she'd spent 8 years caring for because of a corroded railing and bad luck. She heard him move closer, felt the vibration of his weight through the ground. Then nothing. Rachel opened her eyes. Mosi sat down beside her. Not attacking, not threatening, just sitting. His massive frame settled onto the ground 3 feet from where she lay. He turned his body slightly, positioning himself between Rachel and the 2 females who were still watching with interest. Asha started to approach again. Mosi made that low sound once more, louder this time. His posture shifted subtly, but the message was clear.
Hello everyone, a quick but very important update. Unfortunately, YouTube has stopped monetizing the stories on this channel. To keep these narrations alive and ensure I can continue creating content for you, I've set up a new community page where you can support my work directly. It's safe, easy, and truly the only way we can keep this journey going. You can find the link pinned in the first comment below. Thank you for staying with me.
Stay back. Asha retreated, moving to the far side of the enclosure. Zuri followed her. Rachel stared at Mosi in disbelief. Was he protecting her? His eyes met hers briefly, then moved to scan the enclosure, watching the females, watching the growing crowd above. Standing guard, Rachel's throat tightened with emotion that had nothing to do with pain or fear. Mosi, she whispered. His ear twitched at the sound of her voice, but he didn't look at her. He kept watching, alert, protective. Above them, the situation was escalating. Rachel could hear the zoo director's voice now, sharp with authority. Nobody enters that enclosure. I repeat, nobody enters. Prepare tranquilizer. Director, she's injured. She needs medical attention now. I can see that, but we follow protocol. We don't have a choice. Rachel knew the protocol. She'd helped write parts of it. Tranquilizer dart takes 10 to 15 minutes to work on a gorilla Mosi's size. During those 10 to 15 minutes, as the drug takes effect, the animal becomes unpredictable. Confused, sometimes aggressive. If they shot Mosi now, there was a real chance he'd attack before the drug put him down. She tried to speak, to call up to them, but her voice came out as barely a whisper. Her vision was blurring again, darkening at the edges. She was losing consciousness, losing the fight to stay awake. Through the haze, she felt Mosi shift beside her. Heard him make a different sound, not a warning, not a threat. Something else, something almost distressed. He'd noticed she was fading. Rachel's eyes drifted closed. She couldn't help it. The pain, the shock, the blood loss, it was all too much. When she forced them open again, everything was darker. Time had passed. How much? She didn't know. Mosi was still there, still sitting beside her. But now he was looking at her intently, his expression worried? Could gorillas look worried? He made that distressed sound again, louder. Then he did something that shocked her through the fog of pain and confusion. He looked toward the keeper door on the far side of the enclosure. Then back at Rachel. Then at the door again. He understood she needed help. He understood she needed to get to that door. Mosi stood up slowly. Rachel's heart rate spiked with fear, but he wasn't moving toward her aggressively. He was moving with purpose, with care. He knelt beside her, a 400-pound gorilla kneeling, and very gently, almost tentatively, he touched her arm with one massive hand. Above them, the crowd gasped. Rachel heard someone scream, but Mosey's touch was gentle. Testing. Asking permission, almost. Rachel looked up at him, at those dark, intelligent eyes, and made a decision that went against every ounce of training she'd ever received. She nodded. Mosey's hands that could tear a person apart without effort, slid carefully under her shoulders and knees. He lifted her as if she weighed nothing, cradling her against his chest with shocking gentleness. Rachel bit back a cry as her broken ankle shifted, but Mosey seemed to notice. He adjusted his grip, keeping her leg as stable as possible. Then he began to walk. The crowd above fell completely silent. Even the radios went quiet. Mosey moved slowly, carefully, across the enclosure toward the keeper door. Each step measured, each movement controlled. Rachel could feel his heartbeat through his chest, fast but steady. He was scared too, she realized, scared of hurting her, scared of doing the wrong thing. But he was doing it anyway. "Good boy," Rachel whispered against his shoulder. "Good boy, Mosey." She felt his chest rumble. That sound gorillas made when they were content, when things were okay. They reached the keeper door. Mosey stopped 5 feet away and looked at it, then at Rachel. He was waiting. Above them, Rachel heard the headkeeper's voice, shaking with emotion. "Open the door, slowly. Open it now." The door swung inward. Medical personnel crowded just beyond the threshold, ready to rush in the moment it was safe. But Mosey didn't move. He stood there, holding Rachel, looking at the open door like he was trying to decide something. Rachel's vision was darkening. Again, she was running out of time. "It's okay," she managed to say. "You can let me go now. It's okay." Mosey looked down at her. For a long moment their eyes met. Then, with infinite care, he stepped forward. He knelt at the threshold, lowered Rachel gently to the ground, and pushed her carefully, so carefully, toward the waiting hands. The medical team grabbed her, pulling her through the doorway and into safety. The last thing Rachel saw before losing consciousness was Mosey, still kneeling at the threshold watching her go, not following, not threatening, just watching, making sure she was safe. When Rachel woke up, she was in a hospital bed. Her left leg was in a cast, suspended slightly. Her head throbbed where she'd hit it, and every movement sent aches through her body. But she was alive. The story of what happened spread through the zoo, then the city, then far beyond. Videos taken by visitors went viral. News stations ran the footage on repeat. Heroic gorilla saves keeper's life. When she fell, he protected her. The bond that saved her. But Rachel didn't care about any of that. 3 weeks later, against her doctor's orders, she returned to the zoo. She wasn't cleared to work yet, would be on medical leave for at least another month. Her ankle would take 6 months to fully heal, but she had to see him. The staff led her through to the observation area. It was late afternoon, nearly closing time. Only a handful of visitors remained. Rachel approached the glass slowly, leaning heavily on her crutches. Mosey was on the far side of the enclosure, sitting in his favorite spot under the oak tree. She tapped gently on the glass. His head came up immediately. Even from across the enclosure, she saw the moment he recognized her. He stood and crossed the distance in seconds, stopping right at the glass where she stood. Rachel pressed her hand against the barrier. Mosey lifted his massive hand and placed it on the glass directly over hers. They stayed like that, separated by 2 inches of unbreakable glass, yet somehow connected in a way that went deeper than words or species could explain. Rachel felt tears streaming down her face. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you, my friend." Mosey made that low rumbling sound, contentment, peace, understanding. Behind her, Rachel heard footsteps. The zoo director approached carefully. "We've installed new railings on all the observation decks," he said quietly. "Tripled the safety requirements. Inspected every bolt. It won't happen again." Rachel nodded but didn't turn around. Didn't take her eyes off Mosey. "The board wanted to transfer him," the director continued. "After what happened, they were afraid. Afraid of liability, of what might have happened. But I told them what you would have told them." "What's that?" "That what might have happened didn't happen. Because he chose not to let it. Because the bond between keeper and gorilla was stronger than fear. Stronger than instinct. Stronger than 400 pounds of muscle and power." Rachel smiled through her tears. "He's not dangerous," she said softly. "He's family." The director was quiet for a moment. Then he placed a hand on her shoulder. "You'll be cleared to come back in about 5 months. When you do, Mosey's habitat is yours again, if you want it." Rachel looked at Mosey, at the gentle intelligence in his eyes, at the hand still pressed against the glass matching hers. "I'll be here," she said. "I'll always be here." Did you enjoy this story? After seeing what Mosey did for Rachel, do you believe animals can feel protective love the same way humans do? Yes or no? Let us know in the comments below.
Thank you so much for listening to today's story. As I mentioned, the channel is facing some challenges with YouTube payments, and your support is now more vital than ever to keep us alive. If you enjoyed this narration, please consider joining our new community page through the link in the first comment. Your kindness makes it possible for me to keep telling these stories. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next story. Thank you for being here with me.